I think I know what you may be feeling right now because I've been there. Your engines are revved, your hearts are pounding, your palms are sweaty. You probably need to go to the bathroom for the 10th time this morning. And your feet are saying, let's go, let's go.
On a balmy spring morning, runners gathering for some friendly competition is a common event in the Washington, D.C. area. But this race in Chevrolet, Maryland is special. Entry fees from the participants and donations from local sponsors are going to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation, a group that organizes trips to Disney World and makes other dreams come true for children facing terminal illnesses. The benefit race is one of two conceived and orchestrated by Kevin McGowan, a man whose own dreams for the future were shattered 8 years ago in a freak on-the-job accident.
I was working for a textile manufacturing company in South Carolina. Part of the responsibility was to go down in the makeup tanks and close all the chemical feed lines off and wash down and clean out the chemical makeup tanks. I was short of people that one day, and I sent down a person to start the makeup tank process, and he wasn't exactly sure what to do, so he called on me, and I went down there. The chemical was supposed to be flowing into the makeup tank, and it wasn't. And I looked down, and there was a valve that was closed off, so the chemical wasn't able to feed into the makeup tank. And I bent down to turn the valve, and there was a gauge that was about 4 or 5 inches adjacent to this valve. And as I turned the valve, the gauge exploded off the pipe and slammed into my forehead, and it was followed by a gushing flow of the chemical, which was a 50% solution of sodium hydroxide. And I got in my eyes, and the gauge itself knocked me out for about 2 minutes. And when I awoke, I didn't have any vision. So
the chemicals not only destroyed McGowan's eyesight, they also wiped out a career that was just beginning to blossom.
Kevin had a great future, double major in college, German and chemistry. He was working for a firm, Milliken, who all the machinery they used was German manufactured. He was ready to go abroad with the president because of his capability of speaking German to buy equipment for the firm. That was a great disappointment to him.
The accident also brought deep doubts and fear to a young man who cherished an active and outgoing lifestyle.
Sometimes you have nightmares and you wake up in the middle of the night and you look around your room and you say, oh, thank God that wasn't reality. Thank God that didn't happen. And that's what I thought was happening to me. For the first 10 minutes, I really did not think the accident had happened. I was waiting for me to wake up from this dream. And as time went on, I realized that wasn't the case. And then I started thinking some real pessimistic thoughts as, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? I was working hard that day, and I worked very hard each day in and day out. But that particular day, since we were short of people, I was running around doing probably 4 or 5 times as many responsibilities as I normally did. And I just kept on saying, why me? For what I was doing today, why am I getting paid back this way? And it scared me. There's no question about it. I just kept on saying, this is a dream, this is a dream. I can't wait for this dream to be over with, but it never did.
Within months, however, McGowan began fighting back, taking the first steps toward a new life by learning to walk with a cane and to read Braille. Blindness was a roadblock to a long list of jobs McGowan researched. But then he discovered a computer programming course using voice synthesis.
Right. List. 3/star location : Hunt Valley Data Center.
I realized that voice synthesizer was going to be my ticket back to employment. It opened up a means of communication for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, but I did. Like I said, I didn't know that talking computer was going to be my friend for the rest of my life.
Although he had no previous programming experience, McGowan completed the training and landed a job with the C&P Telephone Company, beating odds that show 85% of people blinded as adults never regained full employment.
I worked hard. I felt I had a lot of support with friends and family, but it was me that was out there doing the studying and doing the traveling on the trains and learning how to walk with a cane. And when C&P offered me the job, it was the end of that journey, and I realized I'd finally had made it.
But McGowan wasn't content for long. He continued testing his capabilities, and with the help of some longtime friends, he began rediscovering the joy of athletics.
I was out there running along with my friend, and we had a rope attached to each other's arm, but in a way I was free birding it, and I was by myself. I was running. I didn't really pay attention to the fact that we were connected, but I felt like I was running out there by myself on my own, and being able to accomplish something for the first time in my life after losing my vision. So I think the physical aspect of getting in shape and the mental aspect of building self-esteem and self-confidence combined into bringing me back to being a pretty well-rounded person.
As McGowan rapidly expanded both the amount and range of his activities, his friends say the biggest challenge at times was trying to hold him back.
Sometimes when we're out running, I'm like, Kevin, I don't feel like going 6 miles today. He's like, hey, no problem. Let's just go out and give it a shot. And the day's done. We've done 6 or 7 miles with no problem. Kevin says it's fun. He's a pretty sick fella.
We went water skiing about a year after the accident with a guy who is a professional water skier. And they turned us away because of liability issues. And we had a little thing that wrote this. It was written in such a way that we would release the owner from liability. Kevin got up on like the 3rd try, and he was slaloming after the 5th.
Eventually, McGowan and his partners began competing in races and pushed themselves to the point of attempting one of the sport's most grueling events, the triathlon. And not just any triathlon, but one of the toughest in the nation. A 25-mile bike and a 10-kilometer run, preceded by a mile swim in the Atlantic surf.
Out of the 3 events in the triathlon, I think the swim would be the scariest, though, because you have to deal with a lot of events in the ocean that you have no control over, that being the waves. And I remember 2 weeks before the triathlon, we went down to actually practice in the ocean to see what it would be like. And the ocean was so turbulent that day, it was so rough that I ended up getting sick in the ocean, and that did scare me. I was getting seasick. I think I wasn't able to fix my eyes on any stationary object as a sighted person could do. And the biggest fear was just wondering whether or not we were going to finish without stopping. When we crossed the finish line at the triathlon, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that we had done it. You know, when I say we, it was my friends that helped me along through the entire event. You know, I'd never felt so happy in my entire life. It was as if my entire life after losing my vision all came back together again. You know, because I had my job, and my family was down there supporting me, and my friends were there, and plus we had finished a pretty grueling physical event. And I felt like I was finally, after 4, I think it was 4 or 5 years of losing my vision, I finally had pieced everything back together, and that was a solid moment in my life, no question about it.
I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it.
He's so brave, and life goes on, and that's his attitude, where this happened to me, but life goes on, and I can handle it, and taking on an event like an 8K race or the triathlon just proved that to us, and it gives you an inner feeling that if he can do it, I can do it, and it makes you strive for greater things than you would have normally.
I always had confidence that he would cope with the handicap, and his willingness, his desire to cope with it was a tremendous inspiration to all of us.
Less than a year after the triathlon, McGowan marshaled family and friends to stage the first benefit race.
For the past 3 or 4 years after I lost my vision, there was always people out there reaching out and touching me and helping me and assisting me and guiding me and giving me directions and trying to offer as much help as they possibly could. But after about 4 years, I realized that it was too much time for me to be on the receiving end, and I wanted to turn around and be on the giving end.
Let's see your number. Expose yourself, and the man exposed himself. Number 794.
One thing that turned my life around was going to school at the Maryland Rehabilitation Center, because I thought I was at the bottom of my totem pole. I thought that nothing could be worse than losing your vision. But I saw people who were in wheelchairs. I saw people with broken backs. I saw severe cases of multiple sclerosis. I saw severe cases of mental retardation. And looking down, not looking down on that as a handicap, but just examining what those people had to go through, and the fact that they were out there fighting and challenging themselves and living, and not crying, but actually living a good, solid life, then I knew on that day that my loss of vision was not as catastrophic as I was envisioning it. And I thought that was a valuable experience for me. And people that deal with frustrations, it might even be a traffic jam, it might be a bad day at work. All I tell them is to look around, and you'll see someone who is suffering a little bit more than you are, and it gives you a sense of balance in life. You don't feel so destroyed, I guess is a good word. You don't feel like things have ended. Things do carry on, and once you feel that sense of balance in your life, and then you start thinking, heck, what am I going to do tomorrow that I didn't do today? Then you start accomplishing things. Things usually start falling back into place.
In 2 years, races launched by McGowan raised more than $20,000 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The runners walked away with trophies and prizes, and perhaps a new perspective on their own lives.
I can't tell you how thrilled we are to have this gentleman become a part of the Make-A-Wish organization. And the most wonderful and fitting part of Kevin's involvement with us is this. Here is a man who, in despite of adversity, has not given up his hopes and his dreams. And I know Kevin well enough now to know that he never will. We are dealing with children who also are faced with adversity and who also are not giving up their hopes and their dreams. And they're taking each other's hands and they're celebrating life. And we love it. And I think Kevin deserves the biggest round of applause we can give him.